from the New King James translation, Job chapter 19. If you're there, we want to begin reading at verse 21 as Job speaks. Job chapter 19, verse 21. And Job says to his friends, "Have pity on me. Have pity on me, O you my friends, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you persecute me as God does and are not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book, that they were engraved on a rock with an iron pen and lead forever. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth. And after my skin is destroyed, this I know, that in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another. How my heart yearns within me. If you should say, how shall we persecute him, since the root of the matter is found in me? Be afraid of the sword for yourselves, for wrath brings the punishment of the sword, that you may know there is a judgment." I want to talk from this passage today from the thought of waiting for Christmas. Waiting for Christmas. As I reflect on the years of my growing up, I was always anxious to be able to get out of school, to get that Christmas break, be able to have that opportunity not to have to get up so early in the morning, not have to stir so much, and not have to be going to school all the time. But at our home, a part of our Christmas tradition, as I'm sure that some of you have your Christmas traditions or had them then and still have them now. Some folk are okay with coming out for early morning Christmas because they don't particularly have necessarily a Christmas tradition. Other folk have a tradition that they don't always want to break. And so different people have different reasons, and we understand Christmas in different ways. But as a part of our Christmas tradition, that we had to clean the yard, we had to rake the leaves around the house and burn the leaves, and all of these things. We had to wash windows, and we had to clean up the house, and we had to clean out the fireplace, and we did what we call whitewashing, which was a plaster wash that made it look new again. And we had to do all these things before we were able to go look for a Christmas tree. But that was the exciting part about getting ready for Christmas, was that we had the opportunity to be able to go together. And most of the time it was left up to us as children to be able to go into the woods and to find the tree. And the simple things of life made us happy. We didn't have all of the gadgets and things, and there's nothing wrong with the gadgets that we have. I like using some of them, and haven't really gotten into playing with some of them, but I know some folk that live around me and next door to me and all that have gotten into those things. But still, as a part of our tradition, that these were things that we did. And I didn't understand at the time that the real meaning of Christmas, that Christmas was about our giving, about our reflecting on God, about the greatest gift that he had given to humanity. Didn't understand those things, and it took some time to grow, and we're still growing in that process of appreciating and understanding about Christmas. But there is a certain anxiousness, a certain motivation that is within us as we think about Christmas, that we are waiting, and I used to have a co-worker who used to tell me sometimes about certain things that were coming up, and he said, just can't wait, just can't wait, just can't wait. And I tell him, I said, well, I got news for you. You will wait, because you can't hurry time. And so as much as we are waiting for Christmas, as much as we are excited about it, that we still have to wait. Before Jesus came, the devil had knocked on the door of a man of the East, one of the richest men of the East, named Job. Job was an upright man. He was a family man, a man that feared God, the richest man of the East. And Job had lost his children. He had lost his wealth. He had lost his property and all of those things. And with God's permission, the devil had attacked his health and his life. And everything just fell apart in Job's life. Job and his friends didn't know that because you served God meant that you were immune to trouble, immune to sickness, to depression, and to loneliness, and to bankruptcy, and job losses, and the injustices of life, and the inequities that we experience, and the loss of friends. They believed that trouble was sickness and bad health, and all of these things were a part of what somebody had done as a result of sin, some grave sin that they had committed in life. Job was just waiting for Christmas, but he was waiting for the one who is the author of Christmas. He didn't know about Christmas as we know about Christmas. He didn't have that connection, but he saw something that others had not seen of his time. Job is one of those that because of the circumstances in his life that he needs some joy in his life. And it's an awful thing, my brothers and sisters, to be alone. It's awful to have friends who don't understand your condition. But listen to Job as he cries in his defense. Listen how he responds to his friends who keep on grilling him about his sin. The NIV translation puts it this way, as Job, in the first verse, it says, "Then Job replied to his friends, 'How long will you torment me and crush me with words? 10 times now you have reproached me. Shamelessly you attack me. If it is true that I have gone astray, my error remains my concern alone. If indeed you would exalt yourselves above me,'" meaning that they had no sin, that they could look down on Job. And he says, "and use my humiliation against me, then know that God has wronged me and drawn his net around me. Though I cry violence, I get no response. Though I call for help, there is no justice. He has blocked my way so I cannot pass. He has shrouded my path in darkness. He has stripped me of my honor and removed the crown from my head. He tears me down on every side till I am gone. He uproots my hope like a tree, and his anger burns against me. He counts me among his enemies. His troops advance in force. They build a siege ramp against me and encamp around my tent. He has alienated my family from me. My acquaintances are completely estranged from me. My relatives have gone, and my closest friends have forgotten me. My guests and my female servants count me a foreigner. They look on me as a stranger. I summon my servant, but he does not answer, though I beg him with my own mouth. My breath is offensive to my wife. I am loathsome to my own family. Even the little boys scorn me. When I appear, they ridicule me. All my intimate friends detest me, and those that I love have turned against me. I'm nothing but skin and bones. I have escaped only by the skin of my teeth. So he says, have pity on me, my friends. Have pity, for the hand of God has struck me. Why do you pursue me as God does? Will you never get enough of my flesh? Oh, that my words were recorded, that they were written on a scroll, that they were instructed and inscribed with an iron tool, or lead, or engraved in rock forever. Job is a man that has seen and is experiencing many troubles. And from the story here in his reply, that we can see his aloneness. We can see the need of something else in his life. That when everybody else around him has deserted him, that there is a need for him in his life. That there is somebody else that he must find, some way, some shape, some form, that he knows that will be able to help him. All of these things, the desertion that Job has in his life causes him to look out yonder for something else. And so because of the pressure and the press in his life that he starts to look for Christmas, if you will. The first thing that Job says after he has dealt with all of these things about his friends and talking with them about how long will they persecute him, how much more do they need from him. And Job looks out yonder and says that even though these folk have persecuted me, they've turned their back on me. He says, out yonder I got a redeemer. He says, I got a redeemer. He says, I know that my redeemer lives. The pressures of life can cause us to see things that we wouldn't see under ordinary circumstances, my brothers and sisters. And if you're like me, I know you don't like the pressures. We don't like the stresses of life. We like for life to be smooth flowing, but it's not always that way. But out yonder that we can see some things through our pressures and through our stresses in life that ordinarily we wouldn't experience before. When troubles arise in our lives, when we lose things and things happen, when everyone walks away, it's time for us to be able to look up. And that's where our help is. And as the psalmist says, that I will lift mine eyes to the hills from which cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. Job started to look up, and in his trials and his misfortunes, he says something that is unique here. He says that something that is profound, that stands out. He says, I know that in spite of loss, in spite of false accusation, that in spite of his loneliness and in his depressed hours, that Job said, I know. Some things happen to us sometimes so that we can know. That the Lord puts us in a hard place sometimes to know that it was He and He alone that delivered us out of the circumstances of life. And so Job says, I know there is one who will come and redeem me. Job recognizes that he is not on the scene right now. But I know that out there is a Redeemer, one who will stand in the gap for me like God did through Moses to redeem His people back. I know that my Redeemer lives and that He is out there in the pages of the future, that there is a kinsman Redeemer like Boaz who came to rescue Ruth and Naomi in their time of need. Job declares that there is somebody out there that is allowing this to happen to me, but there's somebody that is out there that's greater than the circumstances that surround me. Job here is a picture of Christ and the suffering servant. And our minds roll back to what Isaiah said in Isaiah 53:3, that He is despised and He is rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from Him. He was despised and we did not esteem Him. Job deals with the fact that he may not be vindicated while he's alive. But he realizes that in faith that out there that somebody else is coming that will revive him. He turns the clock forward, if you will, toward eternity. And in our times of trouble, before our times of trouble, we always need to remember that we have a Creator. We need to be able to remember to turn our clocks forward toward eternity. That we need to be able to see that there is hope beyond the now, that there is a brighter day, as we would sing in the song sometimes, that there is a bright side somewhere. Don't you rest until you find it. He turns the clock toward eternity. And faith is what is able to help us to see out yonder. Faith sees what can be and not what is at the present around us. Faith looks out of a narrow window and sees broad visions, if you will. Faith, my brothers and sisters, helps us to keep on going when we see no way, that we go on trusting, believing that God will make a way. We're waiting for Christmas again, my brothers and sisters, in this season of the year. We're waiting to see what we'll get. But in the spirit of giving that God gave to us, we are to seek to give to others. Waiting for my faith to be renewed in the Christ of my salvation. This virgin birth, this gift of all gifts that brings salvation for the benefit of everybody. We're waiting for the opportunity to visit and to bring joy to some lonely soul. If you realize that, waiting to bless somebody who's on the down and out list, waiting to see and to see what the next assignment is in life. If you look at Matthew 25, 34 through 40, and the Lord gives us our assignment, my brothers and sisters, that if we will recognize that Jesus says, then the King will say to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. And then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the King will answer and say to them, assuredly I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. As we wait for Christmas, my brothers and sisters, the Lord has already given us the assignment that he would have us to carry out, of being able to minister to others along the way. He reminds us that Christmas is not about us. It's not about like I was as a child, of just waiting to see what I was going to get, waiting to see what I would be able to enjoy, waiting to see what would be in my favor. But the Lord tells us to go and to be able to share with those that are less fortunate than we are. When we look at the text here, Job's eyes, his thoughts, if you will, are fixed on heaven. Job has let the negatives in his life grow his faith. And that's what we need to do, my brothers and sisters, is learn to let the negative things in our lives grow our faith. He's looking toward the eternal. Isaiah tells us in Isaiah 7 and 14, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall come, conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. The name means God with us. Job realized that even though he couldn't see God, he couldn't get an audience with God where he could sit down and have a face-to-face with God. He knew that he would one day see God, and just as God had not left Job, he does not leave us or forsake us, my brothers and sisters. And there is a Redeemer within us, my brothers and sisters, named Jesus Christ. Job is looking for his Redeemer, and he says, how my heart yearns within me. He's looking for God, waiting on his Redeemer, and now believes in faith that he shall see him with his own eyes. Even though sickness will take him down, death will take him to the grave, yet the real Christmas of life will come, if you will. He who came to redeem us will also call us together with him in the cloud. Paul said it this way, I do not want you to be misinformed, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. Job had it right that there is one that we shall see. He's our Emmanuel. He's our Christ. He's our coming King, our Redeemer. He's the one that the generations ahead of us waited for, the one that we are waiting for. Adam and Eve have been waiting since death started dying, if you will. Abraham and Isaac and Jacob have been waiting. Job has returned to the dust, but is still waiting. And my loved ones and your loved ones have been waiting. And Paul declares that God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. We are entering the Christmas season, a season of celebrating Jesus' coming to earth. But the real celebration will be when he stands upon the earth. As Job said, that his eyes would be able to see him. And one of these days, my brothers and sisters, we shall be able to behold him. God set Job up, my brothers and sisters, as an example. He's in the business of setting us up sometimes, in case you didn't know that. He set him up for a blessing, if you will. He set him up for restoration of everything that he had, that Job had lost in life, if you will. He set him up to see a redeemer. And I remember back when I was in high school, it's been a few days ago, but back in high school, the teams would be playing, and where we didn't have all the teams back then that we have now with our schools and things, and all, but basketball was one of the main things, and the team would be on the floor sometimes, and the game would be getting tight. We're looking for the win, if you will. And I'd hear the coach sometimes from the sideline holler out to the team, "Set it up, boys, set it up." And I would look, and the team would be moving. This one would be moving in this position. Another one would be moving in this position. So one to this side of the floor, one to that side of the floor and all. But they were setting up the play, if you will. And sometimes in life, my brothers and sisters, that God moves in our lives. He sets us up. And so as we look at here in the text that God is using Job to set up his play. He's setting up Job for the win. And Job's friends have debated. They have challenged Job about his sin. They've tried to interrogate Job to see if he had some secret sin, but they hadn't been able to name Job's sin. And Job said that even if it is true that I've sinned, my mistake, my concerns on to me. God set him up for the win, if you will. He set Job up for him to see a redeemer that was coming. He set him up to see with his own eyes. And my brothers and sisters, sometimes in life that when he's working on us, that when he allows us to go through trials, that he's setting us up. He sets us up in our sickness, in our times of distress, in our times of grief, that in our heartaches and pains, that God is setting us up. And he's setting us up so that our sins of the past can be forgiven and we can have a new life in him. He sets us up from the past, my brothers and sisters, to get us ready for the future. God is setting us up, my brothers and sisters, for change in life. And when we move through this season, as we think about some of the hard knocks that we might be taking, that we need to remember that he's setting us up. And we can't always see what he's setting us up. And the good thing is that the devil can't see what he's setting up. Just like the opposing team couldn't see what the coach was calling from the sidelines for our team to set up the play for a win. The devil can't see the setup that God is setting up in your life for the win. So my brothers and sisters, keep on waiting for Christmas. Keep on looking to the author and finisher of your faith. Keep your hand in the Lord's hand. Keep your hand to the gospel plow and don't look back. Keep on moving forward. Keep on letting the Lord give you vision, not about what is, but what can be around you, to see what God is doing in your life, what he wants to do in your life. Waiting for Christmas. Can't wait, but we will wait. Because he's still setting us up for the real meaning of Christmas, for the real joy of Christmas, of being able to spend time with him. Let us pray. Lord, thank you. We give thanks again for this time of sharing out of your word. Pray that your word would not go out and come back void, but it would accomplish what you desire that it should accomplish. Keep knocking at the door of the heart of that person that is unsaved, that they might yield to you before it is eternally too late. And we give you glory and honor and praise. In Jesus' name, amen. If there should be one today, the invitation is extended, that if you've not accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, we invite you to come to surrender yourself to the Lord while he still gives you time. He's loving, he's kind, he's patient, he's long-suffering. But we never know the day nor the hour, for death can come like the thief in the night. If we had been ready, we would have been prepared for the thief. The Lord gives us time.